Okay, so my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. The Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, as well as the government whip, had a very biased analysis of the points presented. So I would like to rebut to their points and more. So what they mainly talked about in their speech is the higher chance of success for children. But before I move on to my rebuttals, I would like to clarify that they were completely changing the motion and failed to prove their essential burden that they need to prove if they're going to take this debate home, which is why we should pick athletic success over academic learning. The motion today clearly stated that parents would pick athletic practices at their expense of academic learning, except the Deputy Prime Minister could not engage with this fact. Also, they could not prove why children with talent would necessarily have interest in their own field. So now I'm moving on to my rebuttal. So I would like to mention that children, just because they're talented in their field, does not mean that they actually enjoy it. There are countless people who work their way from the bottom to the top by countless practice and work solely with passion. There's a lot of examples of this in the status quo. Then now I would like to move on to the main rebuttal of today's debate. So what they were actually talking about was they would expand the possibility of children succeeding and better chance for them to succeed. So number one, we get what they're trying to talk about in this debate, but this was the base logic and the main argument of their side of today's debate. But however, I identified many errors in this. So A, if everyone feels like children who are athletically talented should only focus on that at the expense of academic performance, then it would mean that the competition would even be more severe, since everyone with at least a bit of talent would try to be athletes, which means that the argument of higher success rates does not necessarily make sense in the first place because of the higher competition rates and the more super competitive society. Then just because there are more people wanting to become a particular job does not mean that people would need more of that, right? Which is like the reason why there would be less competition rates, unlike other jobs that require academic learning, which is the proposition side is completely neglected in today's debate. So what does this look like, Judge? There would be thousands and millions of people around the globe with only a little bit of talent in athletic field, wasting nearly half of their valuable lifetime when they're the most flexible and intelligent enough to learn something for nothing. Then what would the employment rates look like at that point? It would drop drastically due to the high competition rates and the fact that there's more people who fail to focus on their academic success or even learning. Then why does this matter? In the status quo, the population change is a big issue and there's less babies being born. Korea experienced the first population decrease during its whole society history. No, thank you. Even of more than many of the 200 countries of the world are now aged society and not an aging society anymore. There's less people who have physical abilities to work in the society and more people in the government has to take care of by taxes. Dropping employment rates due to the lack of academic learning is the last thing we need in the status quo or the future. B, they were talking about how we should actually have better talented athletes, though however they completely failed to prove why this is helpful in the first place for the society. Then now I would like to talk about what they were talking about, what a person is meant to do from the moment of the birth. So they're talking about the meaning of life and things like that. But this would actually create unhealthy standards for the children. Also, we know that at the end of the day, the ones who succeed are the ones with passion, the ones who work from the bottom to the top, the ones with flat feet, the ones with difficulties, the ones with handicaps. So creating the type of environment of the proposition is trying to create is hazardous. This is no choice that we should actually make, since it would only be effective in the short term, and then people would just take jobs that others actually are dying to have, and the others who are actually really passionate about. And then now they're just creating a society where a lot of people are losing jobs and a lot of people who are not passionate about their jobs in the first place. Therefore, I'm extremely proud to oppose. Thank you.